your adulthood, from your voice as a saying, I know that you don't come from the north of England.
No.
What brought you up north?
Well, after the war, went back, and as I say, I went to a convent school and had studied to A level. Then I went to teachers' training with the London University, so I've got all those, and travelled around and enjoyed myself for a few years. And then I met this northerner called Joe, who was wonderful.
Where did Joe come from?
Wigan.
From Wigan?
Do I have to apologise? No.
Pie and Uncle Joe's.
Used to call himself a woolly back.
Yes.
But he was an amazing man, and the only person that reminds me of, funny enough, died the other day, Frank Carson. Joe was full of jokes and laughter, but they were never hurtful. He never was hurtful, and yet the last 33 years of his life he spent in a wheelchair because of a stupid accident swimming.
So he never felt bitter about his accident?
I never heard him complain. He used to say, if you've got bones, they'll break.
Yeah, that's good.
And he was quite a high-level break. So between looking after him and mother and father and trying to make a living, that's when I started writing.
Going on to your writing, say now you're like myself, you're a senior citizen. Do you enjoy your life? And do you have any hobbies?
Well, I still write. Fortunately, I've gone back into writing. My hobby, I love, because I worked when I did come up here eventually completely, 24 years ago, I managed to tie myself in with Liverpool Playhouse. And that's where most people know me, through Liverpool Playhouse. But, and I just take a sip because my throat's a bit sore. And I still have a, association with them. I still promote them, and I still think a great deal of them.
You're very unassuming in this matter, but I do know that you actually wrote a book, The History of the Playhouse.
Oh, yes, I wrote an actor's
How did
place.
you feel to see your book in print?
Actually, less encouraged than I did seeing my plays being performed.
Yes. I know I've written The Life of Bessie Braddock, which is absolutely
that was
brilliant.
on recently.
Yes.
But I've actually written 40 plays over my lifetime, and I get more pleasure out of watching them being performed, usually by amateurs or people who are resting. Pauline Daniels over the years has put on several in her little theatre. I've had a few
That's
things
where Bessie
at
Braddock was shown,
yes.
isn't it? Yes.
The Unity, I've put on quite a few, and I had one at the Everyman, one at the Playhouse, and it was the one at the Everyman that got me known in the Northwest. It was a writing festival, and
when you were very young, did you always want to write? Did you always
no,
feel
I
that
wanted
you wanted
to be an opera singer.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
no.
yeah, but Father
Were
wouldn't
you
have
good at
that.
singing? I would say it wasn't a done
Yes.
thing for your lady
Oh,
to do
no,
that, was it?
no.
Travel the world.
It's really weird how people's attitudes change, because my father's attitude was that singers and actors and anybody on television were all immoral. They were, because he believed everything he read in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I've learnt not to believe anything I read in the newspaper about people's lives. Take it with a pinch of salt, because more lies are said in the newspaper, I'm afraid. They can sue me if they wish.
Exactly. Do you have anything on the go at the moment?
I'm writing a novel.
Are you now?
About elder abuse,
Right.
about how old people and young people can abuse the elderly. And
So this is all forms of abuse, really?
yes, but it's more about that personal sort of abuse that you get
yes.
that puts you down and makes you feel very inadequate.
Yes. Is this being done from a personal?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
I read a book which I absolutely adore. As you know, I read when I can. I can no longer hold a book properly. And I use talking books. I've got about 30 now. And audio books. And I got hold of Henry Fielding's The Adventures of Joseph Andrew from Silk Sound audiobooks. I'm giving you a free plug. I want them to give me some money for that, okay?
Well, let's see what we can do.
It's the most comic thing. It's very hard to read as a book because it's written in 1740 and it's written into the language of 1740. But when you hear it, it flows and it's so easy, and it's got all these wonderful characters. And one of them's called
So
Mrs.
there's a quaint
Slipslop.
sort of modern day sort of...
So there's a Mrs. Slipslop who had a slip-up when she was younger.
Right.
And she's got to the point in her middle age where she feels she's atoned for that slip-up, and she can chase a younger man now.
All right.
And so all these lovely characters, Mrs. Tittle, Mrs. Tattle,